Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Today I have shared the lecture slides in my Google site. You can refer it. Uh, for first test, you have full module 1. Okay. Uh, and last class I started with strings, but I don't want to continue with the strings. Since the second module, first you have the list, and after that you have strings. Let me go in sequence. And just look into the programs also, the sample programs which are explained to you people. And I think there is one more concept, the local and global scope of the variables. So I don't remember whether I've touched that part or not, so just have a look into that topic as well. Okay. Now today I will just continue with the list. So even in earlier classes we have already used the list in some places, and we have done a few example programs also, but now we are going to discuss the list completely in detail. Okay. So as the name itself says, so list is a sequence. Okay. List is nothing but the sequence of values. Okay. So and again there is no restrictions on what kind of elements may be there in the list. So list can contain any type. So there can be any type of values in the list, and the values in the list we sometimes call them as items, or you can also call them as elements. Now ಮೇಡಮ್ ಒಂಚೂರು ಅದು ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡಿ, ಯಾಕೆ ಅವ್ರು ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So there are several ways to create a new list. Okay. The simplest is to enclose the element in the square brackets. Okay. So like this. So this is a list of integers now, and the list of strings. So like this you can go for creating any type of list, any type of list which you require. Okay. And even the elements inside the list, or the items inside the list, can be of any type. Okay. The first example in the previous slide, this example. Okay. This is the list of what 4 integers, and the second is the list of 3 strings. Okay. And as already told, the elements inside the list they don't have to be the same type. So it can be something like that. I have shown another example here. So this is again a list, and what type of list it is? It is a nested list. Okay. So I have one outer list. One is a string, and this is floating, and this is the integer, and inside this I have listed one more list. Okay. So list within the another list is nested. So and this nesting can be done to any level. Okay. There is no restrictions as such. Okay. And a list that contains no element is called as an empty list, which you already know. And how do we create an empty list? Just by giving a name in the LHS, some name in the LHS equal to open the big bracket, something like this, open the big bracket and close the big bracket. Now what this will do, this will create an empty list for you. And other way for doing this is by using some name in the LHS is equal to list function itself, list, open the small parenthesis and close the small parenthesis. So that also using that also you can go for creating an empty list. Okay. So now here we have few examples of the list. Okay. So I have this one list which is the word list, I can call it. Okay. Or else you can also call it as a string list. Another one I have integer list, an empty list which is created. Now in case if I want to print all these things, so I can just print them by passing them as arguments to print. So I'm just to print, I'm passing my first list, which is a string list, and then the integer list, and then the empty list. So finally this is how it gets printed. See, So this is one list which is a string list which got printed, and this is the another list, integer list, which got printed, and obviously the third one is the empty list. We have the empty list printed. So and then lists are mutable. Okay, in the previous class when we were discussing the concept of indexing or slicing, and there with respect to the strings, I told the strings are immutable. That means you cannot have the indexing concept specified in LHS and updating a particular character from this string. It is not allowed. So that is what I told. Strings are immutable. So but lists are mutable. Okay. So that means you can have the indexing concept used in LHS, and you can go for updating by giving the new value in the RHS. That is allowed. OP people remember that last class when I was discussing indexing concept and slicing concepts, I told strings are immutable. Do you remember that? So I think I took the example of red, and we changed to we tried to change it to RAD. So and then that is not allowed, and after that, so we brought all the entire concept of indexing to the RHS, and we updated the red to bread. So OP people remember that example. Yes, am I audible? See, if I don't get the immediate response, it will be difficult. So what is that I have to think? So if I don't get the immediate response, what I feel is I think my voice is not audible to the participants. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And do you remember that example? Strings are immutable. What I told. So I hope you people don't remember that. So let me show that it was in conditional executions. So at the end. So not here, sorry. Functions, I think I was doing functions at the, yeah, this one. Yeah, this example. Okay. So strings are immutable, meaning that they cannot be changed once assigned. See, I have assigned the string red to the variable word, and what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to change this E to A by doing this. Word of 1 is equal, no doubt, word of 1 will give you what? E. Word of 1 is equal to A. So this is not allowed. Okay. So because you cannot have the concept of, this is what the concept of slicing or indexing, and where you written this is, if I take this as an expression, so this is at the LHS and this is at the RHS. The value which you want to assign is at the RHS, and the concept of indexing or the slicing is at the LHS, and this is not allowed. So this is allowed. So word is equal to, you can have the concept of indexing only at the RHS, something like this. Okay. Now what I'm trying to do, the original string which was assigned to word is red, I'm just trying to change that to bread. Word is equal to, see, you can just have a look here. See, I'm changing, I'm not using the concept of what indexing at LHS. So there is no big bracket specified and there is no index specified. Word is equal to, so I want bread, to convert red into bread, I want B initially, and then first two characters from red, and then A I need, and then to that I am appending the last character. So finally I have my word red changed to bread. Hope people understood. So if you cannot update the string by specifying the concept of indexing or slicing in the LHS. So then we say that particular object is immutable, and strings are the best example for the immutable object. Okay, hope that is clear. And lists are opposite to this. I hope you people understood.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I'll go to the lists. So lists are mutable. That means you can have the concept of indexing specified even at the LHS also, and you can go for updating. Okay. So the syntax for accessing the elements in a list is the same as for accessing the characters of a string. So we use the bracket operator. So even if you want to access any of the element from the list, we use the same concept, indexing concept, what we understood in the previous class. Okay, and the expression which you write inside the bracket specifies the index. Okay, it can be it not necessarily be always an integer, the direct number, immediate number. Even you can go for writing it in the form of an expression which ultimately evaluates to an integer. And here also, even in the list also, the index will always start from 0. Okay. For the previous example, referring to the previous example, so this was a list of strings I showed you. Now I want only the first element or the first item of this particular list to be printed. So then I write it something like this. Okay. So I have the first item of the list printed. This was my list, and this is the first item of the list, and it got printed. So if I just remove the concept of indexing, if I remove, so what happens? All the elements from the list will get printed out. Okay. Next, yeah, and I told the lists are mutable. I have to demonstrate that, no? So I have the example for it. So unlike strings, the lists are mutable. Strings are immutable, lists are mutable, because you can change the order of item in the list or reassign an item to the list, and that is allowed. So you can have a look here. See, I have numbers is equal to this. This is my integer list now. Now I just wanted to change this 123 to 5. Now what I'm doing, I'm using the concept of indexing numbers of 1. So this particular element I'm accessing, I'm overwriting that by 5, and this is allowed in the list, but the same is not possible in case of strings. Hence strings are called as immutable and lists are called as mutable. And finally, when I go for printing, print numbers, I have this 17, 5 printed instead of 123. Okay. So let me start my spider. Okay, it will take some time to start, and after that, once it starts, I'll show you the execution. Next, so list can be viewed as a relationship between indices and elements. Okay, so using indices, you can go for accessing individual element from the list. Okay, so there is a relationship between the indices and the elements, and by default the starting index is always 0, and the ending index of the ending index is the number of elements in the list minus 1. Okay, and this relationship is something called as mapping. So we have the indexes maps to one of the element. Okay, and so this relationship that exists between the indices and elements within a list or even in what the strings also, we call it as a mapping. Okay, and list indices works the same way as the string indices. Okay, any integer expression you can write inside the big brackets, but that expression should lead to an integer value. Okay, so if it leads to a floating point value, then it does not, because you cannot have the index as the floating point value. Index must be always integer. Any integer expression you can write it. Okay, and if you try to read or write an element that does not exist, you get index error. Okay, and if an index has a negative value, it counts backwards from the end of the list. Even this we understood for the strings as well. In the last class when I was discussing the concept of indexing and slicing, I told that so negative integer values are also allowed. Say if I want to access the last element from the list, so I don't have to find the length of the list and subtract 1 from it and then go for accessing it. So I can simply go for accessing the last item from the list just by using the negative index, say -1. Say if I want to access the last but 1, -2, last but 2, -3, something like this. Okay. So even in the list, the negative indexes, negative integer values are also allowed. Okay. We have the example here. So we can use the in operator. So in operator also works with the list. Okay. We were using this in for loops while writing the for loops, correct? No, say for word in words, correct? No, something like that. For I in range. So in operator also works on the list. Say for example, this is the list of animals: cow, lion, and elephant. Now I just wanted to check whether a lion is a member of or element or item of the list animals. I just check lion in animals. It will return me true. Okay. Spider is still starting. Okay. Yeah, started. Okay. So that is the startup sound by the spider. I don't know. I don't like that sound. So animals is equal to cow, lion, elephant. So if I want to check whether lion is in the list animals, I can just check it like this. It returns me true. And here I am checking whether book is book in animals, whether the book exists in animals. So we have the Boolean value written. Always the in operator returns you the Boolean value, either true or false. Okay. Now it has started. So we'll just perform the execution of a few things. So this is what I wanted to show you. So strings justify by showing that so lists are mutable. Okay. I'll take this. So numbers is equal to, it's a list of two integers 17 and 123. The next what I do is, now I don't want it as 123, I want it as 5. So now, yeah, it is done. Now I'll go for printing, print numbers. So 17 and 5. So this proves that lists are mutable. So we have the indexing or the slicing concept specified in the LHS, okay, and still it worked. But the same thing is not true for the strings. Okay, so word is equal to red. Now I want to change the letter E to A. So word of 1. So this is a valid thing. Correct? Word of 1 is correct. Valid indexing concept is equal to A. So this is not possible because you cannot have the concept of indexing or slicing at the LHS in strings. Strings are immutable. So this gives me an error. Okay. And then we'll see the this in operator. Okay. So in operator always returns you the Boolean value. So even in the for loops, correct, right? So for word in words, if that particular word exists in the list of words, then it returns true, and then you have the statement under the for loop getting executed. In case if the word is not there inside the list of words, then what will happen? It returns false and it will come out of the for loop. So I have the list of animals created here. And now I just wanted to find, so lion, so string it is, I have to write in single quote, lion in animals. Now it should return me true. Okay, and then so tiger in, so I have the list of animals, only cow, lion and elephant. So tiger in animals, so it is returning me false. So next, traversing a list. So when you create a list, you should know how to traverse the list also. Okay, so the most common way to traverse the elements of the list is by using the for loop. So this is what I was even mentioning in the previous slide. So the syntax is something like this. So for word in animals, so print word. Now what this for loop will do, it will start from the first item or the first element of the list animals and traverses one by one till all the words in the list animals are traversed. Okay, and every time traversing, it prints the word. And finally, when all the words are traversed, the condition, this in is, as long as there is some word present inside the animals, it will be, in operator will be returning you the true, and you have the statement printed. So the moment there are no words present inside the animals, in operator returns the false, and you don't have this print statement getting executed, and it will come out of the loop. Okay, so we'll do this also. So since I've already created the animals list, I'll execute it directly. So there are, so print will print every time in new line. See, this print is called 3 times now. Each time it is called print, by default will print in new line. Okay, you don't have to explicitly tell print in what the new line. So print by default prints in the new line. So for word in animals, so every item of this list is iterated and you have them printed. Next, so we have the here, see, you can write or update the elements also. Say I want to update the elements of the numbers, multiply by 2, so you can do that. See, for I in range, length of numbers, I've already told you about the range. Okay, so when I'm writing something like this for I in range, so it will start from 0, and on every iteration it gets incremented by 1. So apart from that, range also is something like this, range. So it takes 3 things, 3 parameters strictly speaking. One is the start, and the other one is what it is, stop, and then step. This say for example start is 0, so it says the loop should start from 0. Start value is 0. Say I want the loops to start when it reaches 20, and on every iteration I want this to step by 2, correct, step by increase by 2. Similarly, I can also have the start specified as 20 and stop is 0, and step can be -2 or -1, -3, anything. So in case if you know, you want to start from 0 and you want to go up to some numbers, so in step of 1, so then all the start, stop and step is not necessary. So just range of the ending number is sufficient. Okay, that is what here specified. Now what we are doing, I am taking numbers of I am accessing the first element from the list, I am multiplying it by 2 and storing it into the same index. Okay, so for loop over an empty list never executes the body. So for x in empty, so this never happens. That means since there are no elements inside the list, okay, So this will never be called. Okay, although a list can contain another list, the nested list still counts as a single element. The length of this, yeah. So even in the previous slide I showed you can have the nested lists also. So this is one outer list, and inside this list we have two lists nested here. This is one list and this is another list which is nested. So but when I find the length of this list, so it says 1, 2, 3, 4. Length of the 4 is 4. So it's not going to count, take into account the elements which are present inside the nested nested list. Okay, a list which is nested inside the another. Okay, so this is what I hope you understood with the range. Range is clear. Hello, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this range function, okay, remember this. So but normally what we do, we so if you want to start from 0 and go up to some number in increments, so you can just do it like this. Okay, so even if you want to start from 0 and go up to some number and step by 1, you can specify like this, but this is not necessary. So you can give like this. In case you want to step, I don't want to start from 0, I want to start from 10 and up to 20 in step of 2, something like this. Okay, so otherwise by default if you want to start from 0 and go up to some numbers in step of 1, okay, step increase of 1, so then this is enough. So step decrease of 1 if you want to do, and again you have to use this range, start, stop and step will become -1 in that case. Okay, so this, let me delete this. Okay, now I'll just take up this example. So numbers I have already created. So numbers is 17 and 5 right now after updating this 123 to 5. So I'm called for I in range, length of numbers. So now the number of items or the elements in the numbers list is only 2. Okay, so it will start from 0 and to 1 it will go. Okay, and every element is accessed and it will be multiplied by 2. So we are done. Now if I print numbers, so they are multiplied by 2. So initial value was 17, now this 17 is multiplied by 2 and it is 34, and the second item was initially 5, now it is multiplied by 2 and it is 10. And similarly this, you can create an empty list, and when you call a for loop on an empty list, it never executes the statements under the what. So let me create an empty list, empty is equal to this. This is an empty list. Now for I in empty, oh sorry, for I in empty, print this is never printed. So this is not, so the message is not printed. And then length of this, okay. So nested list. Okay, sorry, I have to assign some LHS. L I'll take. L is equal to this. Now I'll say length of L. It should print me 4. So 4 is the length of this. That means this entire nested list is counted as one item, and this is also counted as one item. So now I want you to do this. Write a Python program to sum all the elements in the list and send your answers in the chat box. So question is also there. So I'll open the chat box. Write your answer here. So how do you sum? You got to iterate over all the items or the elements of the list. Yeah, sum is equal to 0, n is equal to integer list is taken for n in num, sum is equal to sum plus n, and finally you can go for printing it. Okay. So easy program. Okay. Good. I'll show you the solution. So, but I've written using the functions. That's all. So this is where I'm calling the sum list, print sum list. So this list itself I'm passing. So 1, 2, minus 8 I have taken. So sum list is called, and there sum numbers is equal to 0 I have initialized. For x in items, so I'm just finding the sum and returning the sum numbers, and ultimately it comes here as a return value, and this print will print it. Okay. So this is all, and the answer what you people wrote is also correct. Only thing is I've done it by using a function. Okay. Now it is the answer is -5. Okay. So -5 is the answer. Okay. So next I have one more example. So write a Python program to multiply all the items in a list. Easy. So you can do it like this. So again I'm calling the same list, multiply. So total is equal to 1. So but in sum I initialize sum is equal to 0. So when you're multiplying, you got to initialize the variable to 1, because if you initialize this to 0, so 0 into anything is 0. The whole product will become 0. So for that reason, so we're initializing a total is equal to 1, and then finding the product. So sorry. So I should not have taken it as TOT. Instead, I should have taken it as product. So, and then finally we are printing the product. So -16 is the answer. Yeah, do this now. Write a Python program to get the largest number from a list, and write the answer in the chat box. Okay, I have received one more response. sum is equal to 0 for element in range 0 to okay. Okay, this range and all is not necessary, but you have written any of the what you have written is correct, but still you can directly access for element in list 1, that is enough. Okay, so for loop knows how to iterate over when is right for element in list, it will iterate over every element in the list. Okay, in case if I say find the sum of only last 5 elements from the list, okay, so then you have to use the concept of range. So generally if I say find the sum of all the elements in the list, you got to iterate over all the elements of the list. So then you can write for element in list, that is enough. Okay, in case if you want to do find the sum of partial elements or the product of partial elements within the list, so then that case you can use the range. OP people, OP understood what I am saying? So using for element in list, so partial is not possible, so it will iterate over all the elements of the list. In case if you want to do it on the partial list, okay, then you can use the range, but now it's correct, it's a correct one. So let me give thumbs up for both. See, many advantages are also there here in online classes. I can give thumbs up. Thumbs up is thumbs up I can give. So even when there was Karnataka Bandh, so the classes happened, all these things, and I think good. Some ways it is good and some ways it is bad. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Write the answer for this. Write a Python program to get the largest number from a list. And it is saving money for you people also. No hostel fees, no PG fees, correct? No. So and you're staying at home, eating healthy food, and only thing what you're spending now is the data. Yeah, do it fast. You should not take more time to do this. Okay, A is equal to, I have the list, and then largest is equal to first element is made as the largest element for I in range. Okay, for I in range 1 to length of A, if the element is greater than the larger is equal to that. Okay, that is also correct. Logic wise it is pakka correct. And list, okay, max, okay, again the same concept. First element is made as the maximum, and for x in the list, if x is greater than the max is equal to x. Yeah, this is also correct. Good. And my thumbs up is going. Okay, let me show my solution what I have written. Again, I have used functions. It's same what you people wrote. Only thing I have written using the function. Since the function concept is already taught for you people, and even next when you are writing, try to write by using the functions. So print max num in list, correct? No, this is the list I'm passing as argument to this function. So when this function is called, so max, first element from the list is made as a max, and then I'm iterating over each element of the list. Okay, if A is greater than max, and then I make A as the max, and finally returning the max. max is 2 now, so 2 is the maximum. Yeah, similarly the smallest number from the list, easy. Okay, so there you used to check greater than, now here you have to check the lesser than. Okay, so that's all. So just make a note of this. Okay, and so I have one more example, this one. Write a Python program to count the number of strings where the string length is 2 or more and the first and the last character are same from the given list of strings. So this is the example now. I have given the sample list also, ABC, XYZ, ABA, 1 to 1. Okay, it says where the string length is 2 or more, it should be more than 2, and the first and the last character are same from the given list of strings. So right now, so this ABA, so first and last is same, and again it is greater than, more than, its length is more than 2. Okay, 2 or more. And then this is another string where the first and the last character is same and the length is also more, so expected result is 2. So this is so that's not easy now as compared to the earlier ones. So but if you have understood the concept of strings, which was taught in the previous class, and the list which is being taught now, so you can easily do this. Okay, so the program length will not be that more. So Python, all programs are small in size itself. Okay, and I think I have to stop here because I have one more meeting from 12:30. I have to connect to that. Okay, if you have any doubts, please let me know now with respect to the list. So try to write this, do this. Okay, so next class in the sense after your test, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, that is from Thursday I will start with this. So just remember this example 5. Okay, I will be starting from here because after 4 days we will be starting the class again, so I may not remember from where I have to start. Please you remember and just remind me, sir, this is the slide from where you have to start. Any doubts, students? No. Okay. Even I have, I think, two more responses in the chat box, so I'll check them later. So only 45 attendees are there today. I don't know why. Yeah, it is downloaded, so we will stop the